Good evening and welcome to Inspire to Achieve Global TV. And thank you for joining me this evening in the Executive Suite. And I am your host, Roxanne St. Clair. And I'm delighted to be here with you again for another Friday evening. So, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, I'd like to know how your week has gone, how inspired you've been, have you achieved your goals, what have you left with, how are you reflecting? So, as per usual, do remember to like, comment, and share because this platform is your platform. It's our interactive space where we come together in the executive suite to basically relax, to reconnect and recharge our batteries so that we can continue doing the things that we love, that we can fulfill our mission and work within our passions. And this evening, I am delighted that I'm being joined by a lovely guest. She's a bit of a global TV novice in that she prefers to hide away from the camera because she's normally so busy doing what she does that she keeps her head down and she just gets on with life. But she's been persuaded to join us this evening to come and share some of her nuggets, share a bit of herself with us so that we can be inspired and see just how awesome she is. Now, those of us within the YYC family, and in particular the 12, have had the pleasure of working with her, of interacting with her, and just feeling her gentle touch as she supports everybody. And she just subtly gives her praise and shares her energy with those of us in the group. But tonight, she's going to share her energy with you too. So I said, like, comment, and share, ask questions, get some nuggets from her, and let's just have some fun this evening. It's Friday night. Come on, let our hair down and have some fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my guest, and she is the amazing Janet Smith. She's a best-selling author. She also is an editor, and she's much, much more. But I don't want to spoil it because I want her to share with you. I want her to have the stage to be able to tell you about herself because there's nothing better than hearing it from the person themselves. So I'm going to now invite my special guest into the broadcast. And without further ado, here is the lady herself, Janet Swift. Hi, Janet.
Good evening, Roxanne. Happy Friday to you.
And to you, my dear. And thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show tonight. I know for you it was a case of, do I really want to do this? But you've come with faith and trust and decided to share a bit of yourself with our viewers this evening. So really, really do appreciate you being here. It's a Friday night after all. You could have been doing anything else, but you're here with us. So, Janet, I've given a little flavour about you, but would you like to introduce yourself and tell our viewers who you are and what you do and why you do what you do?
Certainly, and firstly, thank you for the opportunity to join you this evening. As you said, it's my first time on TV, so it's all exciting. Basically, I suppose, apart from doing the writing, the main thing that I want to emphasize is that it's never, ever too late to be you. Because I didn't wake up until I was 50 years old when life's metal-tipped hobnail boot kicked me in the derriere and woke me into full consciousness. Now, I like to think that I was slumbering purposefully until that point to reach the day and time when it was my time to shine. That I had to be the person that I would become through life's experiences in order to fulfill my purpose. And maybe I had to slumber through those 5 decades in order to get there. Now, I say slumber, but actually there were some very unusual happenings during that time. I don't know if it's a blessing or not, but I've had quite an unusual life, lots of life experiences. And my mission going forward is to try and encourage people who, for whatever reason, are perhaps not living the life that inside they'd really, really love to live. Maybe it was something that was said to them as a child. or something that happened to them as a child, which actually was the case for me. And they may not even realize that they are hiding. It wasn't until I started to do a counseling course that suddenly the knowledge that I had done that, I'd hidden myself for 5 decades because of something that happened, fluttered into my conscious mind.
Right. And would you like to share with us what it was that actually woke you up to the fact that you've been in a slumber?
Certainly. I was told I had a fatal illness and that everything would fail in a certain order. And at the time, I had 2 young children, and there's nothing quite like knowing that the sand is fast going through the timer to wake you up. Believe me, I've done more in the last decade than I had in the previous 5. I've achieved things that I'd wanted to do for years. I went to Alaska, which is something I wanted to do since I was a child. And as my friend Jennifer Huff says, someday and one day are not days of the week. And when you realise that maybe your time is very finite, you suddenly realise what's important. Luckily for me, it was a misdiagnosis, but it certainly woke me up into a full realisation of what life was about and why I was here, and that it was important to make the most of every day. So I implore anyone else who are burning to something to do it, because we're never promised tomorrow. And when you're given news like I was, suddenly that becomes very real. So that's what happened.
Wow. And you see, as Janet has just said, don't wait to be given a diagnosis, whether it's a correct diagnosis or a wrong diagnosis. But wake up and be who you are meant to be. Because how many of us actually slumber through life rather than living life every day? You know, sometimes I remember hearing, actually one of my business partners and mentors, Mary Morrissey, actually said that some people, they live to the age of 90, but they don't live 90 years. They live one day, 90, or 1 year, 90 times. What are you doing? Are you living 1 year 90 times, or are you living those 90 years? So Janet, thank you for that, because that is so insightful, and thank goodness that it was a wrong diagnosis. Now, you know, you've mentioned your trip to Alaska, so I'm getting the feeling that there's a bit of an adventurous spirit in you. Would you like to share, you know, what kind of adventures you've been on?
Absolutely. I came from a service family. My father was in the Air Force, and I actually went on my first adventure when I was only 3 months old. I was born in Leamington Spa in Warwickshire, and I remember my mother telling me that my father had been posted to Germany. He went on ahead. My brother was only 14 months older than me, and I was in a carry cot, and she said she has this enduring.
Oh, you're breaking up. Ooh, I think we've. Ooh. Okay, Janet's connection seems to be a bit dodgy at the moment. So, okay, we'll see how her connection works. Let me just let her know that we can't hear you. Oh, back. You back?
There's never anything. There's always something new to discover, you know. I can remember when I was 12, we went to live in Malta, and I was absolutely dumbfounded because there were some old ladies that lived in the little village where we lived, and they'd never been beyond the boundary of their village, which was about half a mile. And I couldn't understand that, because from a very young age we travelled the world, and it's that travelling that sets my soul aflame. I absolutely love it.
Wow.
If I could spend my days doing that and discovering new things and going to far-flung places, I'd be a very happy girl.
Oh, and so where's well, if I could speak English tonight. So what's the desire for the next adventure? Anywhere in mind? Ooh, am I leaving you again? Right. Oh, Janet's connection seems to be a bit. This seems to be a Friday night special where the connection goes. Let me just let her know that her connection is going in and out, because she may need to log out and log in again. So bear with me, and let's see if we can get this sorted. Because as you've already gathered, Janet's got a very exciting and fascinating story. So I'd love you to hear her tell her story tonight. So let's just see if she needs to log in and out, and we can get her going again. So in the interim, I'll continue speaking. So Janet has shared with us about the fact that she's always had this adventurous spirit, mainly because as a very young child, 3 months old, she's always traveled and been to places. And that's, craved this curiosity, this liking, this longing to try something different, to go to different places. So what desires have you always had? What desires are you holding on to that you're thinking one day, someday, as she mentioned that Jennifer Hough has said, and some of you may know Jennifer Hough, said that they're not days of the week. We have Monday through to Sunday. We don't have someday or one day. So what are you putting off for those days? What are you not doing for yourself that you could be doing or making plans to do right now? And, it's a lovely thing to be thinking about. It's a Friday evening. So you've got if you're not working, that is, you've got the weekend to be thinking about what is it you'd want to be doing? What's your next adventure? What's the next thing, the next big thing for you that you want to go out there and fulfill another part of yourself? Because this is what we're here for. We're here to explore all avenues of who we are, all avenues of what we can do. So which avenues are you not exploring at the moment? So whilst I'm waiting for Janet to reconnect, I'm actually going to ask her to log out and log back in again and see if she can come back on, because I really would like you to hear her today. So bear with me 1 minute. All right, log out and let's see if she can do that, and then we can, oops. Right, let's see. Oh, fabulous, she's back with us. So right, you're all set, Janet? Let's get you back on screen. Okay, so Janet is back with us, thankfully. So Janet, please continue with your next adventure. Right, can Janet hear me now? Ooh. Right, Janet, can you hear me? Oops, maybe she can't hear. So okay, let me come back to you, and then let's see if we can get Janet's sound sorted out. Cool. Okay, so right, so I said I was going to just read some messages now and see.
Roxanne, can you hear me?
Oh, brilliant! Yes, I can hear you.
It's live, but there's nobody there.
Yes. Right. Oops, she's gone again. Right, when she comes back in, then she can join us. So let me just read some of your messages and let's see what. Let's read some of your messages now and see. Right, so who's joining us tonight? So we've got Sabrina who's saying hi, Roxanne and Janet. Hi, Sabrina, thanks for joining us. We've got Marcia. Hi, Marcia, thanks for joining. We've got Richard. Hi, Richard, thank you for joining. And Marcia's also saying hi to Janet, who's not on, but she may see this later on the replay. And I've got one of my colleagues here from Inspire to Achieve Global TV, but I'm not sure which one it is, that's saying greetings and salutations. I wonder if that's Beata by any chance. Hi, Beata, if it is you watching tonight. Right, okay, let me just see if Janet...
I'm here.
Right. Okay, Janet, I can see you. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Oh, fabulous. Right, so we're back in tune. So just saying hi to a few viewers that have joined us this evening. So you haven't missed a lot, just me saying hello. So would you like to continue where you got cut off and just tell us what's the next adventure that you have in mind?
Well, in terms of what I want to do, I'm writing a book at the moment, actually called It's Never Too Late to Be You.
Wow.
In terms of travel, Wow, my bucket list is endless. But at the moment, Tenerife at the end of November for a week. But that's as exciting as it is at the moment.
Wow, well, you know, some people live all their life dreaming of writing a book. And the fact that you're writing a book that talks about it's never too late to be you, that is, like, you know, that's two exciting things rolled into one, really. Because when somebody releases who they really are, or they tap into who they really are, that's another adventure. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so you sharing that with people and helping people to maybe unleash parts of themselves that they have kept hidden for many, many years or decades even. It's amazing what can come out of that. So what inspired you to go for that title?
Well, interestingly, it started life as a different title, and there were 3 words that came to me one night as I was dropping off to sleep, and they were life-changing seconds. And the next day, the words kept going round in my head, and I thought, this means something, because if that happens, there's usually a reason. And then I realised it was the title of a book. And then I started having strange, well, not strange, I expect it now, but the universe conspires with us when we're really in alignment with something. And I started to meet some very, very interesting people just by chance. Anyway, I just kept meeting people, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And my daughter actually said to me, Mum, can you stop? You're turning into Jonathan Ross. Can you just stop interviewing and start writing? Anyway, I went to London. I spent a day with some publishers, and I was explaining the purpose of the book. And the life-changing second thing was actually that I wanted to reach people who felt isolated and alone as they were going through very traumatic times in their lives. But I wanted to emphasize that these things happen to us regardless of social status, financial status, celebrity, anything else. We all have the same experiences. But the challenge is that everyday people, if you like, are often forced to go through it alone, and they feel isolated because we don't like talking about certain things. Whereas at the other end of the scale, you've got celebrities who are going through exactly the same thing, but in the public eye. So I wanted to show that these things are no respect of persons, and we will all are the times when we grow. So anyway, that was the thinking behind it. And then when I spoke with the publisher, she said, it sounds to me like what you're actually saying is it's never too late to be you. And there was one of those aha moments, because so many of us go through life, we do what at school, what we're told to do, and then we do what's expected of us maybe, or we do something at university which isn't our passion, but it might be our parents' passion, or there might be what can I call it, a community type thing. Like I know one chap he's Asian. He's a very, very highly trained chemist with a PhD, but he never wanted to do chemistry. He did it to please his parents. And a lot of us do that, or, as in the case with me, I made that decision to play small because it was safe, you know, so we might do that. And then people have lived their lives for so long on that plateau, it's sort of flatlining really, and they forget what it was that excited them. So I would invite people in that position to go back to their childhood, think in their mind, what was the thing that excited them as a child? Because you can guarantee that the essence of their passion is there. They will find it. And that's the thing that maybe has got buried over the years. You know, yeah. I was likened it to our lives being a score of music that we write ourselves. And is it lively and vibrant, or is it a melancholy sound? You know, we can choose that, and it's never too late to change it. We can change our music to be whatever we want it to be. And so I invite everyone to be joyous and show that in the music of their life.
Wow. And this is a lady that doesn't like being on TV. Wow. What pearls of wisdom. And listen, look, Elizabeth Lucas is saying, you are an amazing lady, Janet.
Well, thank you.
Like, honestly, I could just listen to you talking because you're speaking my language then. When you talk about, just finding what it was that you loved as a child and find a way to do that now. Because if you're doing that and you're happy and you're in love with what you're doing, the fulfillment that you get from it, and that's probably what you were meant to be doing. And that's, I think sometimes we lose that picture, we lose that thought and that idea because we've been taught to do the sensible thing. We've been taught that you have to either have a profession, you can't enjoy what you're doing because you've got to be serious. But as we mature, we're not getting old, we're just maturing, and we realize that if you're actually doing what you love, you are going to have fulfillment. You are going to be successful. You are going to be able to have love and joy in your family, in your relationships, because what's coming from within you is something that's pure and it's really you. And as you said, if more people knew that, and if by you writing your book enables people to actually tap into that and embrace that, the impact of that is, I think it's actually beyond both of our imagination, really.
It is. And can I just share with you a lady that I met just a few weeks ago, actually. I was doing a contract somewhere. I met this lady and her story is amazing, but she's not a celebrity or anything like that. And she said she woke up on her 60th birthday and she just thought, I'm not doing this anymore. And she decided she was going to leave her marriage. And she said, I didn't really feel upset or anything. I just woke up with this thought. She made all the arrangements. She saw a solicitor. She got another place to live before she even informed her husband that that was going to happen. And now she's 2 years down the track. She's in her own home and she has never been happier. And that's, and there's another lady who is now an international opera star. 3 years ago, she was still suffering from the effects of a lifetime of alcohol abuse. So it just takes that moment to realize that there is more and that the passion that they feel inside can be set free. And you don't have to be downtrodden. You don't have to continue, as this poor lady, in a relationship that had been dead for years. But she had the courage. She got that spark of courage from somewhere. And we've all got that reservoir of inner strength that often we don't even know exists until we're forced to find it. And that's what challenges do.
You are so right with that. And listening to you speaking about people that you've had conversations with, I remember you sharing a particular story with me. And I hope that you feel that you can share this story online. If not, then just say you don't feel comfortable because it's somebody else's story. But you did share a story about a lady that you had met who, I think you were walking back to a hotel or something, and you got speaking to her, and she shared some voluntary work she was doing. Is that this? Have I got the stories correct? Or was that another story?
The Lockerbie bombing, do you mean?
There was that one, yes, and then there was another story you shared with me about the lady that went overseas to do some voluntary work.
The Mother Teresa story.
I was going to leave the punchline for you to tell it.
Oh, it's quite incredible because life is magical because I hadn't even decided to do the book, and I knew nothing.
Ooh, someone's messaging you.
Yeah, and then once I started to do the book, I realized that these people with amazing stories were already friends, and they were like jigsaw pieces that had been put into my life, and I didn't even know the relevance of it at the time. They were just friends. But yes, this lady, she was very, very bullied at school. She lived in Ireland, and one day she stood up and she said, when she was 7, I'm going to meet Mother Teresa one day. And of course, everybody laughed and the beatings carried on. Fast forward a few years till she was actually 22, and she saved a month's holiday and she went to Calcutta. And she lived there helping the people on the streets for a month. And she was particularly centred around the railway station where there were a lot of orphans and mothers that were either HIV positive or they were still drug addicts or whatever. So that was where people congregated and needed help. So she spent a lot of time down there. And then I'll tell you this little bit and then I'll come back to it, because she was actually there helping a little boy, and she went off to get some medication for him. When she came back, it was too late. He'd passed away. But she noticed another little girl, and she went over to help her. And this little girl, her name was Rinky Woo, and I say was advisedly. Anyway, she bit this person, and she still today has HIV tests. But anyway, I'll park that for a minute. On the way back from the railway station, it was the Thursday of the week, her last week, and she was leaving on the Saturday. She was going back via the Middle East back to Ireland. And as she was walking through the streets, and there were 20 million people on the streets of Calcutta, as she was walking through the streets, a nun approached her and asked her who she was and what she was doing, etc. And she said that what she'd been doing, and the nun gave her a piece of paper with an address on it and said, if you have time, come here tomorrow. So she did. On the Friday, she went to this place, and it just turned out to be Mother Teresa's home.
Wow.
And I should say that Mother Teresa actually died the following week. So it really was at the 11th hour. Anyway, she went in, and she was told that there was going to be a mass upstairs in about half an hour. So she went up for the mass. Mother Teresa came in, and she said, I knew as soon as she came in that she was in the room, such was the energy that she emanated. But she was in a wheelchair and she had oxygen, and she had quite a few medical challenges at that time, which is again interesting in a minute. Because they had the service, and then the nun that had invited her there said, what are you doing tomorrow? And she said, well, I'm actually leaving tomorrow. So she said, go downstairs, sit on the bench and wait for me. I'll be about 20 minutes. Well, she sat on the bench and 20 minutes went by. And then Mother Teresa came down the stairs. And I said, well, how did you manage that when she'd been in a wheelchair and on oxygen, God knows what else? And she said, nobody knows how she managed it, but she came down the stairs. She hugged this lady. And I said to her, what did you see when you looked into her eyes? And she said, just oceans of kindness. She said, that's how it was, just pools of kindness. Anyway, there was a funny moment to this, because Mother Teresa said to her, if you're going back to Ireland, will you post a couple of letters for me? Because apparently Mother Teresa used to be in Ireland. She used to call Sister Anne, and she lived in Ireland, first of all. So this lady said, yeah, I'll post them for you. And she said, no, it's not necessary. And she pulled out a drawer, and in the drawer were all these stamps, brand new stamps that people had sent from all over the world in case she wanted to post letters. So she stuck the stamps on them. And this lady went all the way back to Ireland, and she posted the letters. But before she left, Mother Teresa gave her a little prayer card, and it had a prayer on one side and her picture, and she gave out very, very few of these. Anyway, as I say, she died just a few days after that. Marie said she said she took more care of the letters than she did of her passport, posted them when she got home, and then she heard the sad news that Mother Teresa had passed away. But here's the thing. The very thing that got her bullied at school was because she had a very, very pale skin, which was the one thing that got her noticed on the streets of Calcutta, which caused that nun to see her. Now, when I said about Rinky Woo, and I come back to that, here's the funny thing. Marie ran a radio show in Ireland, And one day she was doing her radio show and a lady phoned in. And would you believe that that lady had adopted Rinky Woo? That wasn't her name anymore. And this girl was living in the same town.
Oh.
Now that is the strangest thing. Anyway, when I met Marie in London, sometime afterwards, she came and she had a book and she opened it. And inside was this prayer card. And she said to me, pick it up. And she said, you're the first person to touch it since Mother Teresa gave it to me. And I could actually feel the energy coming off it. And since then, she's been told that it is the Vatican has classed it as a living relic because Mother Teresa will be made a saint. And all that from standing up as a girl of 7 who was bullied for her very pale skin. And that was the one thing that got her noticed and took her to her dream, which was to interview Mother Teresa, who then died just days afterwards in the because Princess Diana. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Child shouldn't be living just down the road. Obviously, her name had been changed, but this lady phoned in to say that I adopted that little girl and she lives with me in the same town.
Wow. It just.
If that isn't a divine hand at work, I don't know what is.
And it just reminds us that we never know.
That's why I became addicted to hearing the stories and I wasn't doing the writing. Because I met somebody, even down to, doing a contract, and then I meet that lady who tells me the story of how she woke up on her 60th birthday and decided, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm off.
So what is it about you then that gets these stories out of people?
In the world, whatever age I've been, people always think they know me. So I must have a one-size-fits-all sort of face, and everybody thinks they know me. I mean, once I was sitting in a pub with this chap I knew, and I didn't know him very well. And this old couple came and sat down, and their dog came, and it lay on my feet. And I thought, well, they must be friends of his. They're not friends of mine. And then they said something which made it apparent that we didn't know each other. And they said, well, we thought you were whoever, and we didn't doubt it because the dog lay on your feet, and the dog never does that. So I must just be one of those people that thinks they know. I don't know. I don't know the answer, actually.
And I'm just going to read something here because Marcia's just put a message up and hopefully it'll fit on the screen. She says, wow, Janet, you just brought back some memories of what I had a passion for when I was a child in primary school. Something that I loved, but was told I wouldn't make any money from it and that I needed a real profession. Today, I see many who have successfully made a career of it, singing.
Wow. There. And for that lady, I want to tell you, to remind you again about my opera singer lady. She's singing all the opera houses around the world. 3 years ago, she was an alcoholic. So it's never, ever too late. Please, please follow that. Reignite that passion for your singing, because that is your purpose. You can bring joy and touch lives through the gift of your voice.
Exactly. Wow. And just speaking to you and hearing these stories. Now, if these stories are going into your book, can I have the first copy, please, and signed? Because
I will make sure that happens.
But even just listening to you, I can see why you're writing, because you're a natural storyteller. When you shared that story, you took me to Calcutta. You took me to Mother Teresa's house. You even took me to the radio station back in Ireland. Because it was so vivid that I could imagine Maria in those places doing what she was doing. I could even see Mother Teresa somehow hold on to the banister, getting down to the stairs to actually go and have that conversation with her. So you are a natural storyteller. And can you imagine an event? You're there reading stories from your book, Marcia's singing, maybe other people that are on the call are there sharing their talents, What an event that would be.
It would, Marcia. It's a date.
Oh, there you go. Heard it here first. We like company. Well, I'm just checking how we're doing for time. Okay, we've got a few minutes to go. So, now I think if that's just one of the stories that you're sharing about people that you've encountered and just randomly encountered people, then I can just imagine the wealth of adventures that you've had, and not just by going to places, but by meeting people and just having a conversation. And it's a reminder for all of us that you do not know who is in your midst, who's standing next to you, who you're squashing you on a train maybe, who's sitting next to you in a cafe. Because sometimes we go through life, and I was thinking about this the other day, walking down the road, that everyone seems to be in their little bubble. They're all going where they're going, oblivious to what's going on around them, oblivious to who's around them, because they're so focused in their little world. And what people are missing is that interaction. Even just making eye contact with somebody across the way and sharing a good morning or a hello, it can change somebody's whole day. And I think we've lost some of that because we're so caught up in our own little worlds, our own little issues, that we've stopped connecting at that level, at just a human level. And as Janet said,
can I share a little story with you about the impact we can have on people and we don't even know we're doing it? And that goes for everyone on the call, everyone on the planet. And that goes right back to 1984, and it was Christmas Eve. It was really cold, and I was with my friend Caroline, and we were out for the evening. And it was really cold, and as we went past this pub, the door was open, there was noise coming out, so we went in for a drink. And as happens, I mean, I was young once.
You're still young.
Actually, I sent somebody a card yesterday and it said not a day over fabulous. So that's how to think of it. But anyway, going back to the pub, we went in and there were two chaps in there. And there's always the nice one and his friend, isn't there? Do you remember that? Well, on this occasion, because Caroline was quite stunning, on this occasion, the nice one started talking to me. And I thought, ooh, it's a nice Christmas present, isn't it? Anyway, to cut a long story short, I ended up speaking to this chap for 2 hours, and not about anything intense, but just Christmas Eve chatter, really. And I was shocked to the core when he said to me, I'm so pleased you came in here tonight because I decided I was going to kill myself. Talking to you has made me realise that that's not the way forward, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to kill myself. And I just stood there thinking, oh my goodness, you never know who you're speaking to or who your words will touch. And that was just a conversation. It wasn't, he hadn't revealed anything about the pain he was in. So I didn't say anything soothing in that sense. We were just chattering. Has never left me, that feeling. And so now, like you said about making eye contact with people and sharing a word with people, that is the greatest gift we can give them. We never know when and how deeply that word is going to impact them. Yeah. And I was in my 20s when that happened, but I've never forgotten it.
Yeah. And can you imagine? Well, you wouldn't have known the person anyway. But
no, I didn't.
The ripple effect, if they had gone ahead and done that, whether they've got family and friends and all of those people that would have lost those latter years and the moments with that person, had you and your friend not decided to just stop and have that pre-Christmas drink. So it's in the decisions that we make that has so much impact that sometimes we don't even know the impact we're having.
We don't. But I can say that I do fully understand the impact of somebody taking their own life, because when my daughter was 17, her best friend took her own life. And I know the pain it causes and the ripples that go on for years. not just in the family, but in friends and the wider community. So I know now we've got a minister for suicide. The government has appointed a minister for suicide, and for it to be necessary, society has gone wrong somewhere. So if we can all do our own little bit in the people that we come across, to just make them feel listened to and heard, the world would be a very different place.
Wow. Now, I didn't expect us to be ending on that note.
Neither did I. I don't know where it came from.
How did you get us there, Janet? But you know, maybe we needed this wake-up call, this sense of awareness, this particular Friday. We're midway through October, so we're getting to the gloomy time of the year. And we know this is a time of year where people do tend to have more stress. It's getting darker earlier. The clocks will be going back, I think, next weekend or so. So people do become more insular, people become more isolated. So maybe we do need this wake-up call to be more vigilant. If we've got neighbours and we've not seen them for a little while, we've got elderly people around us, just reaching out to just make sure people are okay. Because we don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. And
we don't know that we can either. And I hope I haven't depressed anyone, but before I came on the call, I did send out a thought saying, is there anything in particular that I should be saying tonight? And I didn't expect to be telling you that. So I hope somewhere that those words might have made an impact, because they are obviously being said for a reason. So let's all reach out to the people we know, tell people we love that we love them, and reach out to those who are isolated, even if it's just to say hello and give them a smile.
Thank you. And you know, normally I would ask them for a parting message, but you just gave one. So what I will do, just see a few more messages that we've had from viewers, and then we can say good night to everyone. And wow, you've blown me away, Janet. Let's see. Right, I have to get back to serious face now. So who have we had on? So we've had Robert Brooker who joined us. Hi, Robert. Thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And I can see that you've had some comments. I'll be reading them once we sign off, because we're on our time now. So I really do appreciate you connecting and communicating. It's only through our regulars and people being invited on that the show is the show, because otherwise it's just me or me and my guests just chatting away without everybody else. So we really do appreciate you joining us. And who else have we got on? Okay, there's someone from Aspire to Achieve, and I believe it could be our Pastor Roy Reader. So thank you for joining us as well. Hope you're enjoying being on the platform yourself. And wow. Okay, so Marcia's up for our meetup, Janet. So let's keep her to it. Practice your principles. Okay, so on that note, I'm just going to thank everybody for joining us this evening. And thank you, Janet, for being with us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope that now that you've done it once, you realize it's not scary anymore and that you're awesome at it. And maybe, who knows, we'll be seeing a lot more of Janet live on TV, because she has a way with words and she's got lots of stories to share. So watch this space. But you saw her here first, just remember that. So it's been a pleasure having you, Janet, and I just look forward to more of our conversations. So
very much. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
So thank you for joining us, and still like, comment and share, and have a fabulous weekend, whatever you decide to do. Remember to reconnect and plan ahead for what you'd like your desired outcome to be for next week, so that you can hit the week running on Monday. And I'll see you on Monday evening at 7, right back here. Take care and bye for now.
Bye-bye. God bless.